Hi friends, Mindy here. I have a flip through for you of my finished journal from Currency of Grace from Bythewell4God. I was intending to do some process videos as I went through the month, and I just never was able to manage that. So I did think that I would go ahead and do the flip through. I do have a process video showing how I did the binding for this journal. What I ended up doing on the binding was adding this wood piece and some trims and stuff. This was from the tassel bob kit that Bythewell4God released, and I just added them here to the twine binding on the side. So in the front here I have the kit sticker, and then just indicating that this is for May. And then so I'll just go through here day by day. Each one of these days kind of slides out, or can slide out. That's how I worked through it, if you haven't seen the setup video. So they're kind of like little folders for each day. So this is day one. I just used the kit stamp here and some Neo colors in the background for the background color, and then just created a little pocket in here with the journaling cards. That's basically kind of the idea. Every day is I have the journaling cards. I also used this card here was actually from the scripture card set that they released. I wanted to use those this month, and so I decided to just put them in here in my journal. Some of them are very specific to the day that we're working on. Some of them are just ones that I thought coordinated well with that day. So and then I just cut out some ephemera, and I have the title here, and then I used the stencil that was the doily stencil for the background. This is day 2. This one was the lost sheep. Again, I used that scripture card on the front, and then I used 2 of them in the inside and to create pockets for another one of the journaling cards or scripture cards that coordinated with this day. And then I also added in one of the little file folders that I just kind of decorated. And because I still wanted this to be able to pull out as well, I just used some paper clips to keep it closed, and it's just got the notes from the flashcards on there. So there's a couple of those in here this month as well. Day 3, this background was done with I used a Tim Holtz stamp, and I used, I think it was antique linen embossing glaze, and then I went over the background with the purple color. It was a distress oxide color. And then on the inside I just used the pattern paper for the background. I have a doily here and an ephemera piece as a little tuck spot, and then again I used one of the scripture cards as a tuck spot for one of these journaling cards that has some notes on it. This one is the Lost Sun. I used this beautiful ephemera piece, and I just wrote hope on there because that's kind of what this day meant to me. I was talking about the prodigal son. And so I created a couple of pockets. I have some little trim down here at the bottom, and again, just some notes and things. And then on the back, I have a prayer on the back of that journaling card. And this background was just done with some watercolor, and I did like some splatters and then some of the ephemera pieces from the kit. This day was the older brother. I used the cobblestone stencil here, and then just did some watercolor in the background. And then again, I have another one of those file folders where I just kept it in here with the clips. So you can still take this out, but it has all my flashcards. There was a lot of scripture on this day, and so I needed I have a lot of pockets. You can see all of these are notes and scriptures from this day. The background was just was stamped with one of the background stamps this month, and then more notes in there. This day was titled Grace, and I have, again, one of the scripture cards here. This background is actually done with tissue paper. So I just used, I first stamped with the Grace background stamp, and then I collaged over that with some tissue. Let's see if I have it. This is actually like you would wrap, for a gift. You can do this with napkins also. But I just happened to have this, and so I just used some gel medium and put this down over that to kind of create the background. And then I did it on the inside as well, and then just added some pink watercolor to the background. I used these ephemera pieces here to create a tuck spot for all the little flashcards, and then I have the scripture card with another, these were the little extra this month. And so I just tucked that in there. And then I have an ephemera piece here as well. This day was titled Redemption, and again, in one of the scripture cards, I actually did a few of them. This one actually has the scripture on the back side, but I wanted to use this image, and then I just cut a little slit in it so that I could put my my flashcards in there. And this is the pattern paper that coordinated with the kit, and then more notes and scriptures on these cards. This is one of the scriptures that was quoted in this day in the devotional, so I just tucked that in there. And then I have this one and this one tucked in there. This day was talking about forgiveness. I have just the pattern paper, and then again the scripture card, and I use that over here to create a pocket as well for those notes. And then I use this ephemera piece that was this door. I created this kind of scene with a little sticker and an ephemera piece, and then behind this door I just I kept it open, so it's only glued at the top and the bottom, and I think somehow this got glued. There we go. So that I could pull these in and out. They're just tucked here behind the door. And the reason I did that is because these scripture cards, if I put the flashcards down in there, they get lost. So for some of those, I like having a different place to put them so they don't get lost, kind of tucked down in there. This day was talking about justification. This background was done with the Daniel Smith watercolors that came in the kit. And I have some pattern paper on the inside. Again, I used the ephemera pieces to create a tuck spot for the journaling cards. Some of these scriptures I actually have written out in a different place, because if they're too long for the back of the card, then I have to write them on in another area. So I just used this beautiful green from the Daniel Smith watercolors for that, and then another one of the scripture cards here. This day was titled Reconciliation. This is that beautiful background stamp again, and I just stamped that in a Distress Oxide color. I believe that was antique linen. And then again with the little mini file folder, I have my flashcards in there with my notes on them. And again, I just did the same thing where I just have it closed with the clips. You could certainly, if you wanted this to just be a permanent thing, I could have just glued it, but I decided I wanted to leave it so that I could remove it if I wanted to. And then again with the scripture cards that are pockets, and I used that doily stencil. Again, I love that doily stencil that they released last month. This day was talking about sanctification. I just used a piece of pattern paper here, and then this is actually an older stencil. It's like a script stencil. And then I love this paper that released this month, and I just kind of created a scene over here on the left side, and then I have my pocket with my journaling cards on the right side. And this day was called Living in Grace, and again, this is that pattern paper. It was like getting toward the end of the month. I didn't have a whole lot of time. I had already done the study at this point, so it was just trying to do all of the artwork for it. And so I ended up doing a lot with just kind of the pattern papers and that kind of stuff, because I didn't have a lot of time to really, get into my texture pastes and all those kinds of things. So anyway, on the inside, I created a little tuck spot with one of the scripture cards, and then I just have this one tucked in there behind it. And then I used a glassine envelope here and put the door on the front, and this just holds, again, those smaller, flashcards that are just too small to put back behind one of these cards, but I wanted to put them in here because they're the scriptures that go with these cards. So this is day 13, I believe, is called Sharing Grace. And again, I have just the scripture card. I have a little fabric down here with this cute bird. And I did try to use the titles for each of the days on here. I love that they are including the titles in the sticker packs, that in the like additional sticker packs that they've been releasing. Just helps, especially for a project like this one. And then on the inside, created a couple pockets, and I really just used a bunch of the clear stickers in the background. So when you pull this out, there's actually, kind of something to look at back there. And then I used the ephemera pieces just to kind of create a little scene here. So there's a tuck spot here, and then there's a pocket back here as well. And then lastly is day 14. This is the Cost of Grace, and I love her. She was probably one of my favorite images this month, so I wanted to make sure and use her. And then I have created a pocket with some of the pattern paper that I have in here, and then this was actually the cover piece that went with all of the scripture cards, and I just liked kind of that bold message on there to kind of conclude this day, so and this study as a whole. So that is my flip through. Again, this was called Currency of Grace. You can see my little book is quite chunky, which is just the way I like it, but I just wanted to share this flip through with you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. If you liked this video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and until next time, bye.